After many years of pretty much religiously playing World of Warcraft, I know that for myself and many other players out there, the game just doesn't feel the same. Especially now with BFA feeling a bit more like a chore than I've become used to playing. It's no longer the enjoyable game that I remember. I've decided that I should see what other MMOs are out there and give them a chance. A game that's been highly recommended to me to be quite similar to WoW but taking steps in the right direction was Final Fantasy XIV. So with the game downloaded and my account created, I jumped straight in with the free trial, which lets you play the game up until level 35. The first thing I noticed after creating my character was just how good the graphics were compared to WoW. The environment and surroundings had a more modern, realistic feel, and I felt that sense of exploration and wonder that I probably hadn't felt since I first started playing WoW. I actually took my time and had a good look around instead of immediately heading over to the next exclamation mark map to hurry through the levels. Now, as you expect from most MMOs, the initial stages of questing are quite simple, with collecting X amount of a certain item or delivering messages to certain NPCs or just killing certain mobs. Alongside the main story quests, there are a whole bunch of side quests you'll find on your minimap and also in the areas that the main storyline sends you to. There is also a quest line for the particular job, class that you're playing, which did make things a bit more interesting. The main story quest line does seem a bit slow to begin with, and it's got a lot of little quests kind of thrown under an overarching storyline which can seem to drag on a little bit. I do just want to mention that I have been told by many people that the early levels of the game, especially before the first expansion, can feel a bit tedious and grindy, but then it does get a whole lot better, so I will certainly continue to play to see if that is the case. As for the quest for my particular job, which was the Lancer, things started off a bit slow again with just killing certain mobs, but at around level 15 it did get very interesting. I went to pick up my next quest, assuming it would be another kill X amount type quest, but instead this random dude shows up at the Lancer Guild, starts acting like a bit of a dick, and the story begins to revolve around who he is and why he's here. So continuing through the main story quest, I eventually unlocked Juicies, which are Final Fantasy's version of dungeons. To proceed with the questline, you do have to use the Juicy Finder, which is the equivalent of the Dungeon Finder, to join a party of 4, with 1 tank, 1 healer and 2 damage dealers. As the damage dealer, the queue time was about 6 to 7 minutes, which is quite similar to WoW and not too long. Doing these duties in Final Fantasy, they did feel a lot more fresh and exciting than WoW's, but this was probably due to not knowing entirely what to expect, and it being a rather new experience for me. The runs did go smoothly and there were no toxic behaviour and was generally a very positive experience. If this was a sign of endgame content, I certainly was looking forward to it. So the combat in Final Fantasy, it's your typical tab targeting system, which will be very familiar to WoW players. One thing to note is that the global cooldown is slightly longer than WoW, so the combat initially feels a little slow. As I leveled up, I frequently gained new abilities to use in my rotation, which helped make the combat feel a lot quicker. One thing I really like about the combat in Final Fantasy XIV is that when you do use an ability, it does feel a lot more satisfying to me personally. I feel like this is due to the animations and sounds being a lot more detailed, and they, to me, gave me a sense of actually hitting through the enemy and causing damage rather than just sort of swinging my weapon around, seeing random animations and seeing numbers fly across the screen. So I'm looking forward to see how other jobs feel, especially with casters and ranged, and see if they've also got that same satisfying feeling I got with playing the Lancer. So just looking through some of the other features in the game, there does seem to be a lot of content to enjoy. For those of you that were avid achievement hunters in WoW, there's an achievement log system in Final Fantasy XIV 2 that will give you a lot to go after, as well as hunting journals, which add an extra dynamic to farming and grinding typical mobs, which also give rewards such as XP. One of the key differentiators, in my opinion, in Final Fantasy is the job or class system. This gives each character the ability to level up and play any job in the game without having to create multiple characters. For me, being a bit of a completionist, this was perfect as I wouldn't have to repeat quests and content on multiple characters just to play a different class or execute a different role. The game also has a separate armor and weapon inventory, allowing you to store gear for all the different jobs without taking up all of your inventory space, which, if you were a WoW player, you'd know how annoying that can become. So just some of my initial thoughts and impressions on the game so far, and I'm sure I've barely touched the surface. I'm currently only level 25, so we'll continue my journey through Final Fantasy and create new updates as to how I'm finding the game compared to WoW. I'm currently very excited to jump back in and continue playing, which is a feeling I haven't had from WoW in many years. If you are or were a WoW player looking for something else to play so far, I would highly suggest Final Fantasy XIV to fill that void and hopefully give you a fresh experience on a new MMO. So I'd love to hear your feedback and your views on Final Fantasy compared to WoW, so please do let me know.